They want me to change, they want me to change, but I ain't changing. Nah, I remain the same.
And you are now tuned in to another episode of Intellectually Petty Radio, brought to you by M3S3 Clothing. Men make moves and suckers stand still. And as always, on the mighty Nerve DJs Radio Network. Y'all already know, man. Legend after legend after legend after legend, and today is absolutely no exception. And we have a much needed discussion today that isn't discussed enough. And I want to bring on author Keesha Pittman. She wrote a book for children called Bad Secrets. How you doing, Queen?
Yes, hi. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Good, good.
How's your family?
Everyone's well. How about yours?
I'm all right. Scoot over just turn move your okay, yeah, just a
Let
little
me
bit
go
more.
over.
No, that way. The way you
Oh,
went the first
opposite
time.
way?
No, not that way. The other
Yeah,
way. No,
this way.
no. Yes. Just
Okay,
trying to get you in the middle a little bit.
okay, okay. Now is this view okay? Do I have to turn my camera around? It's okay.
Well, it's like you look into the side a little bit, but
Yeah, because
we'll
if I
live.
turn it this way, I think that's not giving you the view. Is this okay?
Yeah, but that I don't, if you turn it to the side, facing the same way, will be perfect.
Let's see. Because if I turn it back this way, it's still giving me that side angle again.
We'll be all right.
Okay,
We'll be okay.
okay.
So how's life? What's new?
Life is going well. I woke up this morning, so I can't complain.
Nothing wrong with that. That's the best part of the day for me too.
Absolutely.
So you wrote a book for children.
Yes.
What's it called?
It's called Bad Secrets. No, not for me.
Okay, okay, and tell us what it's about.
It's really a book that touches on molestation and sexual abuse of children, really just bringing the subject to their attention because, of course, it's a sensitive topic that parents don't want to discuss. It's awkward. And so I wanted to create something in which there was a book in which children can read it themselves. They can read it with their friends. They can read it with their family, and have some type of dialogue about the topic. I know a lot of times parents have books in which they read by themselves, and then they have a separate discussion with their children. But at least with this book, the children can have it in their library, where they keep their other books, pull it out whenever they want to, and have it as part of a discussion. Not just the books in which we talk about the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s and the colors and the affirmations, but to talk about real life and things that's really occurring before it actually touches our home.
Okay, why this topic?
It's this topic because this is something that I experienced myself, inappropriate touching in elementary school. And it was a topic that wasn't really discussed in my home. So when it was happening, I didn't really know what to do. I really didn't. You feel uncomfortable, but you're not really sure. Um, right. Well, you're not really sure what to do. And then also, if this person is brought into your home, you trust that person because it's not a stranger. In which, in some cases, we're told that a bad person may be a stranger, a person that you don't know. But in this case, it could be someone that you know.
And I think it's what, like 90% or more of molestations occur by somebody you do know.
Yes.
Do you talk about what specifically happened to you to anyone?
Actually, I didn't discuss what happened to me until I didn't discuss it with my mom until last year when the book came out. So I had this discussion with her as an adult. I recall maybe having a discussion with some others, maybe 1 or 2 others in my family, maybe a few years before that. But again, I was still an adult, and and if I didn't write the book, I truly believe that I still wouldn't have had this discussion with my mother. So it was kind of like a meant to be, and like a healing process for myself. Because again, I wouldn't have said anything to her, and I think it was more so to protect her. I didn't want her, and even to this day, I don't want her to feel like she's to blame, or she didn't protect me, or for her to feel guilty or anything like that. So I think that's why I kind of kept it to myself even now as an adult.
I'm just curious. Is that unfair to other people that would come in contact with that individual?
Absolutely. Thinking about it now, yeah, yeah. But as a child, and because we're not having that conversation,
Hmm.
you don't think that far as a child because it again, this is something that you shouldn't be experienced. You shouldn't have to experience as a child. So you're not thinking with that logic as a child. You're keeping things to yourself. You're not quite sure what's happening, and then as an adult, again, I was just thinking along the lines of not wanting to hurt my mom, but not really thinking along the lines of how others may be affected.
Okay.
But as a child, I definitely wasn't thinking about that. I was just thinking about myself, and I think as a child, I mean, for myself, you just think that it's just happening to you. You don't really think that it's anybody else that's involved. You just think that it's just you.
Hmm. And I can definitely understand as a child, that not being, part of the thought process. Uh, how do you think that has affected your life up to this point, adversely?
I think it definitely affected my life in regards to trusting people
Hmm.
and in regards to relationships with people. Now that I'm older, I'm definitely having a better appreciation of life, uh, very selective as to who's in my life and expressing myself and expressing what I don't or do or do not like.
Hmm.
I think at that time, and even years ago, getting into relationships, I think that I was just dealing with situations just to deal with them, dealing with people just to be with them, even though they may not have been right for me in
Hmm.
regards to relationships. Even if it's friendships outside of just relationships, just associating with people that I shouldn't. So during that time I didn't know it, but I lacked self-esteem and self-worth. And I didn't really realize that until maybe, 10 years ago.
So, did you talk to like a therapist or something, or you just was able to come to all of this on your own?
I haven't had any therapy just yet, but that is on my agenda um, as soon as possible because it's definitely needed.
Hmm.
Because it's definitely things that at times there's anger in the way that I may deal with situations. It definitely affects my relationships with other people. So and I think there's also times that um, some things I don't remember. I think that there's things that may have happened that I may have blocked out, and so I
Hmm.
just remember like little things, not all the details. So it may be some things that I'm blocking out, and I'm not quite sure why. But definitely the therapy would be important. I was fortunate enough to visit an elementary school where I was able to talk to students who are in fourth and fifth grade, and that was one of the questions that one of the students had asked me was did I go to therapy? So that's a very good question, but I'm working on it. I haven't done so yet.
I'm curious. What else did they ask you?
That was one of my favorite ones, and a close friend of mine asked me the same thing, and another one asked me. This one wanted to know, well, where exactly did they touch you? And I said, okay, well, we're not going to go into that, but I said, yeah, but I just had to say, when we talk about private body parts, just think about the areas that we cover when you're wearing a bathing suit, and so it could be any of those areas.
Hmm.
So I didn't want to go into details in regards to that. So someone wanted to know, where exactly was I touched? Did I go to therapy? I think those were the two that stood out to me the most.
So, do you have children?
I do.
Are they aware of what happened?
They were not aware. My son um, was not aware until um, last year as well. And I think that I had the misconception that this only occurred for girls. Especially back then. Yeah,
Hmm.
as I got older and had more interaction with other people, including males, and then realize that it's happening to both boys and girls. And that's where I try to speak to. That's what I try to speak to in the book as well, to not just emphasize on just the girls,
Mm-hmm.
but I think in my mind, um, I just thought that it was just something that girls experienced, and then I also tried to. Um, be aware and pay attention to things, or just to, if there were any red flags or anything that I needed to pick up on, or if there was, or made sure that my son was around people who I trusted.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I think that was pretty much the same trap that my parents probably fell into, and other parents, thinking that we could figure it out on our own. And the thing that we're doing incorrectly is that we're not having that discussion. And I think, well, not think, but I know that's why I wrote the book.
Mm-hmm.
Is so we're not mind readers, and so that we're not trying to figure out things on our own. We really need to have this discussion the same way we have textbooks and notebook and books about ABCs and 1 2 3s. This book should also be available for us to discuss as well. And because it's awkward,
Right.
I think that's why it's not happening. One of the things that I did notice, as I think I met with maybe 3 groups of students
Mm-hmm.
in elementary school. And one of the things that I touch on in the book is talking about the names of the exact body parts.
Mm-hmm.
And so I noticed that when I touched on that, they were very uncomfortable. And so, when we got to, usually, when I read the whole book to them, and, we're having conversations and they're asking questions, they were fine, no movement, no conversation. But as soon as I get to that page where I name the private body parts, they, you see them covering their ears, they're covering their mouth, they're laughing, they're putting their heads inside their shirts because they're uncomfortable. So again, I try to emphasize on that point to say, okay, well, you see how you're responding
Mm-hmm.
when we talk about, this part of the book or this
Mm-hmm.
part of the discussion. And this is why, parents may not talk about it, or this is probably why you may not talk about it, because as you can see, you're uncomfortable when I mention these words. So initially when I was writing the book, and after I wrote it, I was on the fence about putting the exact names in the
That was
book.
going to be one of my next questions too, because
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I left my copy upstairs,
Yeah, no
but
problem.
I bought a copy and I did read it. And my thoughts were, why not either like in the illustrations kind of show, not necessarily show like in super detail, but at least point to the areas so the children would be familiar with, okay, this is, because I don't, you don't want somebody to confuse, okay, well, my right here on my side, somebody may just be a random touch, you like nothing going on in a line or something, and I don't want them, you don't want them to be confused with something
Yes.
nefarious. Another thing I wanted to say is that, especially in our community, it's a huge problem with when families do find out,
Yes.
not doing anything
Yes.
and keeping that, just, you got that uncle that comes to the family reunion, that all your aunties and your mama say, stay away from that nigga, but they let this nigga out against the world.
Yes.
Is,
Yes.
is that, I understand the protecting your children or your loved ones, but do we have a responsibility to protect people we don't know?
Yes. Yeah. So I'll go back to the first comment that you made in regards to the book and pointing out those private areas. And with that part, I definitely always recommend that the book is read with an adult or a person that the child trusts, because there will be questions and they would have to really discuss the details, because there's a lot of things that I did leave out in the book.
Okay.
So it's going to be important that they have a discussion with their parents so that they can address the additional questions that the children may have. So again, I just wanted this to be a conversation starter, so that it's not a point where we're not having this discussion at all. Because even when we ask the children, you know, with a raise of your hand, who has had this discussion at home, and most of them said yes, they did, but there were a few who said no. So that's one thing. But definitely having the children read the book with an adult, because there will be questions, and we all have our own perceptions and on what something means. And so it's always good to really have that discussion so that there's no misunderstanding.
Mm-hmm.
As I wrote the book, and going to your second point, um, as I'm meeting with different parents who have purchased the book, that's what I'm hearing. Them saying that, oh, this happened to me as well, or this happened to me as well. You know, in some cases they don't say exactly who it was,
Mm-hmm.
but I had someone come up to me and say that, yeah, it was a family member that touched them inappropriately. And I'm hearing stories that, you know, maybe in the 50s and in the 60s, it was a secret. Like, you know, it's either issues where they told someone and they weren't believed,
Yeah.
or they told someone and it was just swept underneath the rug, like, okay, well, you know,
Or they were
it is what it
blamed.
is. So I have, so far I had one person say that it was a person in her family who did touch her inappropriately. She did inform her family, and nothing was done, and that person was still around. So as she got older, you know, she kept her distance, and she wouldn't allow her kids around that person. But then, like you said, and you brought up a good point to say, you're going to distance yourself from that person, you know, yourself and your the close people that you know.
Mm-hmm.
But if nothing's done, it could be happening to someone else's family or children could be affected, because you know, we're continuing to let it happen, and they're just going to move from home to home.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop.
And it gives them confidence that they won't be caught.
Exactly. And that's what I like about the book. When I had mentioned to the children when I met with them, is that it's good to have this book on your bookshelf, because if they see this book, you know, if you have a predator in your home, or if you have the book in your presence and someone sees that book, they're going to know, okay, what this book is about, and they're going to know, okay, well, this is bad, but it's not a secret. Just like when we see certain things, we automatically know what they're associated with, and I want this book to be an automatic understanding that these children have been educated on this subject. They have predators have understanding that this is not a secret. This is not something that they're not aware of. They know that it's awkward, it's wrong, it's inappropriate, and they have tools in here that indicates who they should call, and that is wrong, and that is not their fault. So again, this book is really a guide to really, for the parents and for the children, so that we can start to have more dialogue on this, and not just keep it to ourselves, and not to keep saying it happened to me and not do anything.
So I'm curious. When it is someone that they trust, how do they then trust someone else to tell the story to?
Yes, that's a good point. For myself, I found that when I was going through it, and again, I didn't tell anyone, so I didn't really trust anyone to tell, and it wasn't a situation where someone told me not to tell anybody, or they would hurt me or anything like that. It was never any threatening situation. I just didn't know what to do. I never had that discussion before. But I do recall that every time I was around a male, in the back of my mind, I always was always thinking, well, what is this person going to do? And not really feeling and not really feeling comfortable. So, I always had that thought in the back of my mind, just thinking, can I trust this person? What is this person going to do? And again, that's not a good feeling for a child to have, because you don't trust anybody.
That makes it very hard to love people,
Mm-hmm.
and more importantly, extremely difficult to accept being loved.
Correct.
Are you? I don't know if this is too much, but are your children's father? Are y'all still together?
No.
You think that had anything to do with it?
With us not being together?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it played a part. I definitely, we were both young,
Mm-hmm.
so that played a big part. Not ready to be in a relationship, and then also you really can't be in a relationship you're until you know yourself, until
Yeah.
you're happy with yourself, and until you understand yourself. And I I wasn't at that point. So so there were issues going on in a relationship, with young people, but then there was things going on with us individually in which we weren't ready for that relationship to last.
You know, I had a conversation with somebody, I don't know, a couple weeks ago about an ex I was with and how it was a toxic relationship. And I had trained people unknowingly, but I had trained my circle
Mhm.
to not tell me shit about her.
Yes.
Do you think that this experience has made you train people around you to kind of, I don't know, if kid gloves would be the right approach or right word, but to treat you differently?
Do I think that I train people to treat me differently in what way?
Like when you say you don't trust people.
Yes.
And so by extension, let's say your kids, for example, they see that you don't trust people and they adopt that philosophy.
Hmm. Hmm.
How
I think
can
I
you
think it
undo
was
that too?
yeah, I think it was more so when I was a child. When I'm making that statement, it's more so when I was a child, I was thinking, when I was around a male that I didn't really know, um, but they were around for whatever reason. As a child, I was thinking, what's going to happen? Is the same thing going to happen? I don't trust them. Now, I don't really feel that way now because I definitely could stand up for myself. I have no problem speaking up for myself, um, and expressing myself. But right, I think there's still a trust issue and things that I still need to work out. Based on things that I may be harboring inside. But I don't think that my family pretty much changed anyway in regards to anything that and how they interact with me, because again, a lot of them just found out about it a few months ago. So this is really new to them. This is not something that they have known about. So I don't think that they did anything differently because they didn't know what was going on.
What was their response when they found out?
Um, with my family, I think they would pretty much, you know, um, just have sympathy, and just saying that they sorry it happened and that they wish they would have knew about it and they wish they would have known who it was. Um, and that was pretty much it. You still get some who may ask, who it was. I only shared that, with a select few, and so not everyone in my family knows that as well. So again, I think that they would just express their sympathy, and then again ask the same question. Do Am I going to go to therapy? Do I feel as if I need therapy? And how am I going to proceed from this point on?
So what's next? Is there another book coming? Is this Was this more of a catharsis? I don't even know the word for it. Like writing the book was a relief for you, getting it off your chest, and you're done with it, or is this more like the beginning of a movement for you?
Yeah, it's definitely a beginning of a movement. And that was actually one of the questions that one of the children had asked me that I had skipped. So good question. She had asked, did I do I now have some type of relief after having this discussion and revealing my truth? And I do. So initially, when I wrote the book, um, I was trying to identify what my purpose was, because I've been here, for a long time, and time is just escaping us. And I wanted to really identify what my purpose was, and what am I here to do outside of what I've been doing for decades. And with me seeking that, this is how the book came about. And So I wrote the book, based on what I experienced and what I thought children should know. But when I got to the part about discussing myself, tell me
Mm-hmm.
about the author, that's where I was on the fence about really putting out there that I experienced this. So initially when I wrote the book, my thought was not to really throw myself out there and identify myself as a person that experienced this. But I decided to do so. And I think that is resonating with a lot of people with me doing that. A lot of people are grateful for me doing so. So I'm happy that I did. I definitely will want to work on more books
Mm-hmm.
in regards to awareness for children, something in the same, going down the same avenue, in regards to awareness and just so we're having more discussions about things that may be uncomfortable.
Okay. Um, yeah, I would like to read kind of like the adult version.
You okay? Oh, so you want me to tell all book?
I mean, not necessarily a tell all, but a tell all about like when you cry, did the tears turn to anger, or the roller coaster of emotions. Just a little something more tangible for adults because I'm certain. And I looked up the stats. It's 1 in 4 girls will experience a sexual
Yes,
abuse, and one in 20 boys.
yes,
Those they grow up like you,
yes,
and not everybody grows up as adjusted as yourself.
yes,
A lot of people deal with promiscuity
yes,
is a big thing, and drug abuse.
yes,
So in telling the adult version of the story would help those people that are looking to find their relief.
yes. I agree. I agree. And one of the things that you'll see me post as I'm adding more pictures or having more visits to schools or to
Hmm.
libraries or things like that, I'm starting to use the hashtag no bad secrets. And where I'm going with that is to really, really, piggyback off of the Me Too movement to say, I want to have this no bad secrets movement so that we're having this discussion with our children before they're like me or others waiting until we're adults and now we're part of the Me Too movement. So if we as adults don't know what to do, and we're waiting until we're adults to um, identify what's happening and to report what's happening, what do we expect children to do? So again, it's important that the children are educated now, so that they're not part of this Me Too movement later,
Hmm.
and identifying this
Yeah.
as adults.
Has there been a downside to your honesty?
A downside? No, I haven't seen any downside to it. I received a lot of positivity from people and just a lot of thank yous for sharing my story. And also, it's a conversation started for other people and their children, so they're grateful for that. Um, One of the great things that I'm seeing is that, and what I do appreciate, and I hope it continues, is that people are purchasing multiple books. So I had someone who purchased 12 books, another person who
Mm.
purchased 5, another person that purchased 3, and some of them don't have children. But what we're doing is we're sharing it with the libraries, our local libraries. We're sharing it with foster homes. I left some at the school, this elementary school that I visited. I dropped
Hmm.
some off at my local library. So again, people may not be able to afford it. Children may not be able to afford it. But if they go to a library or if they're at a foster home, they have access to this information. They shouldn't be exempt to having knowledge on this topic. So again, if you're purchasing a book, if you're keeping it for yourself and you're an adult, I appreciate it, but we really need to get this message out to the children so that we're saving more lives and, not having children keep this inside and then later there's mental issues because we're not saying anything. So again, some people have read the book and they pass it on to a school. They have the electronic version. People are doing that and printing it out. So whatever you can do to spread the word, share the book, that's definitely the where we're trying to go with this. Not just to keep the book for yourself, especially if if it's not any use to you. We want to really share it with those who may need it and may need to know about this information before they're affected by this.
What do you do for a living?
I'm an executive administrative assistant. I've been so at the same with the same employer for about over 30 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do they know about the book?
They do. So they do know about the book. They're also part of the folks who I said who are very supportive. They also invited me to a meeting in which they asked me to discuss the book and why I decided to write the book. They purchased the book and also purchased multiple books for others. So they're definitely part of the another group that I met with to discuss this. And initially, I was on the fence about discussing it with them
Yeah.
or put or because I felt like at work is it really appropriate. I know it was awkward and I wasn't sure how people would feel about it. And so I thought about it, and then I said, okay, I'm not going to. Let me sleep on it and I'll think about it. And then a colleague had actually reached out to me because I know her personally,
Hmm.
and she knew that I wrote the book, and she had asked me, was I planning to share it at work? And when she said that, I said, okay, I was just thinking about that yesterday, and I was on the fence about it. But if you think that it's okay, I'll give it a try. And it was. We have a platform in which we use to communicate, and it was accepted. I think we had maybe trying to think, and usually we don't get a lot of comments on certain topics, but we got a
Hmm.
lot of comments. I don't know if it was maybe 60 comments or
Mm.
just saying thank you and just a lot of responses, which was very nice.
Okay. And where do people buy the book?
Everyone can buy the book from Arthur House, which is my publishing company. In addition, you can also purchase the book. The website is badsecretsbook.com. You can also purchase it there as well. And we'll be working on expanding the website, as we get, as I work on more books or, working on ways to maybe have more blogging and more conversations, and just a place where folks can ask more questions. If, again, I'm not a professional on this topic. I'm just sharing my experience and what I think will be helpful. But, eventually we'll start doing some blogging and maybe having more conversations on this topic and other topics for in regards to awareness for children.
Actually, I think the fact that you aren't a professional may be more helpful because that you can be the bridge to people going to seek professional help if they feel
Yes,
they need it.
absolutely.
But the first step in discussing something of this nature is the most important one. And if nobody's told you today, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you. And I gotta make sure I shout out Henny. That's my guy. He texted me one day and he's like, "Yo, you might want to interview her." And I said, "Well, let me buy the book first."
Yes,
Because I didn't want I don't I didn't know you, and some people do things with an agenda,
yes,
and I'm not really trying to promote. No, I'm not for, against, or whatever. I have my own personal beliefs, but I keep those to myself.
yes,
And I didn't want to. But when I read the book, man, I was like, okay, this is pretty. Like I don't. I feel uncomfortable saying this is a dope book, but it extremely needed, and the first I've seen of that. Not to say that others don't exist. I
yes,
don't know. And it reminds me of how poor of a job as a parent I probably have done in talking about this.
yes. Myself as well. That's exactly how I felt. I actually I actually had to have a conversation with my son to ask him that question. Did something happen inappropriately? This is what happened to me, and thank God he said no. But there's cases where that answer wouldn't be no. So I'm grateful that he didn't have to experience that. But definitely it's happening more often than we think.
And I think another topic, just throwing it out there, is talking about discussing it amongst co-parents,
Yes.
because not everything is, especially when it's contentious.
Yes.
And so, things don't get discussed, or I want to raise them this way, you want to do this way. Instead of beefing, you just do your own. I will say with my ex, we did a good job for the most part of discussing things that we need to discuss with our kids.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm kicking myself, and I'm definitely going to get my daughters this book
Yes, yeah,
for my
definitely.
my
I think
grandbabies.
definitely just to start the conversation, it's good. Even if someone is not experiencing this personally, they may know someone else who is. So it's definitely important in that manner. And definitely thanks to Henny and yourself for thinking of me and realizing the importance of this subject and right away, having me join in for this participation. And I was thinking the other day that when things are meant to be, usually, I mean, sometimes there's a challenge. Depends on what it is, but sometimes in this case, everything just went smoothly. From me writing the book, I had no idea that I wanted to write a book. I knew that I was reaching for a purpose, but this is what the purpose led me to. Maybe within a few weeks, I got someone reached out to me, Principal Macy. She's amazing in Brooklyn. She invited me to her school to speak to her students. This all happened within weeks. Now, months later, I'm speaking. I have the honor to speak with you. So again, I'm definitely getting support from those who I least expected from, those who I do not know, but that just means that it's just meant to be. So I thank you all for believing in this message and supporting this message, and and allowing me to speak on your platform.
And just anybody out there tuned in, if you have been a victim yourself, we'd like to hear about it. If
Yes.
you can comment. You don't have to. If you want to do it anonymously, just say, hey. Matter of fact, I got a number that you can call. I've never taken calls before, by the
I
way.
noticed that when you posted, I was like, "Hey, I get a phone number."
Yeah, I have to look it up to even say anything because I yeah, way back in the day we used to take calls when we were on Blog Talk, but we haven't done that in years. But if you
Yeah.
do want to call up, you can call anonymously at 440-941-5010. And matter of fact, I'll post this just in case. 440, what I say, 941. Yeah, multitasking is not my forte. I can barely talk and type at the same time.
And your supporters are amazing as well. They've been commenting and giving thumbs up and things of that support. So I love it, because a lot of times you get folks who they look, don't say anything.
Well, you know what though? I think and we talked about this a little bit.
Yeah.
You haven't named the person,
Correct.
and for me, and I see both sides of the fence.
Yeah.
There's a positive aspect of that, because that invites an argument amongst your family. Why'd because the thing will be, well, why'd you wait so long?
Mm-hmm.
What do you want? You must
Mm-hmm.
want some money.
Mm-hmm.
Why you trying to ruin cousin so and so? Not saying it's a cousin,
Right. Right.
just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
But 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 like we discussed earlier, on the other side, there's both sides to the coin. So
Yes.
the fact that you just it was more about the children, it just adds to the authenticity, which is a sad state of affairs that we live in, that you have to be extra authentic so that people won't question you.
Right.
You know, which unfortunately there's some people out there that lie,
Right.
and they ruin it for people that's really went through some shit.
Right. Right.
What else is going on in your life?
um just staying busy, looking forward to what's next. Again, with prayer and faith. I always say faith without works is dead. So, I have to figure out what's next. But definitely, we're going to be working on more things related to this book, before I can move on to a new book and a new topic. So there'll be some other things going on in regards to this. So I look forward to that. I just have to make time, because when you're juggling a full-time job and everything else in life, because life is lifing, you have to figure out, you have to, kind of prioritize and figure things out. So I'm definitely grateful, for this opportunity. And, and even though I've been at my primary job for such a long time, this experience, was definitely rewarding. I'm definitely grateful. It was a shorter duration, but it's definitely evident to, what we're capable of doing.
Mm-hmm.
Part of my message that I always like to share, even with the adults, is to, get out of your comfort zone, do things that you least expect to be doing.
Man.
And we can do anything we put our minds to. I come from, the projects in Queens, and here I am,
Oh
employed
Lord, you come
somewhere,
from
and now,
Queens?
yeah, from Queens, of course.
Oh God, if I'd have known
Exactly.
that.
Then now, somebody saying, "Oh, you're a published author," and it's like, it feels, strange saying that, but it is, and it started with the children's book. What it can escalate to, I don't know. So, but I'm open to that, and but we definitely have to believe in ourselves and speak positivity into existence. That's definitely a good thing, and so I'm looking forward to what's next.
Yo, and I just I got it. I hate Queens. I'm sorry. Had to put that
What
out
did
there.
we do to you?
Nothing. Y'all raised Henny. That's
Okay, I get it.
no.
I
You
get
know
it.
what though? I didn't want. I struggled with how to approach the conversation,
Hmm.
and I didn't want the topic to be the definition of you on my show.
Yes.
I wanted to talk about it, but I also wanted to see you smile.
Yes.
I wanted you to laugh a little bit, because I think it takes every emotion to handle something like this.
Yes.
And I don't want people walking away thinking, just damn, that's fucked up that happened to her.
Yes.
But I want them to walk away thinking, that's fucked up, but I appreciate the resiliency and the power that she showed.
Absolutely. That's definitely where I was going with it, to say this happened, but this too shall pass. This happened, but this is what we can do when things happen that may not be great. We could, it's up to us to deal with it. Again, as we discussed, or as you mentioned, these things happen, and then people repeat these things that are happening. They're not getting the help that they need. So again, I turned a situation into a place where I wanted to help other people, and not just keep it to myself, or not just repeat the same situation with other people. So when things happen, it's important that we take action to make a difference. And that's part of, again, me making, that was the reason why I made the decision to put
Mm-hmm.
myself out there, to say, it happened to me. Because again, we're going to have challenges, things are going to happen, but what's important is what we do when we experience those challenges. I can't blame the person. I can't blame my mother. I can't blame anybody else. I can just move on and, do what I have to do to be better for myself, to be better for others, to help others. My goal is to help others. I think that that's our purpose, actually, to be here, to help others. Um, because why else would we be here? So definitely putting myself out there. Doesn't matter to me at this point, because I'm not going to be here forever. However, this book will be. So, that's where I was going when I wrote it, and when I write more.
You know what? And it just dawned on me. Like, have you went to the women's shelters?
That's on my list. Initially, what I put on my list was to um, go to the schools. So I already went to elementary school, and I spoke to two group of students. I went to the library, dropped off some books. So I have the foster homes on my list of places to go to drop off books. I've ordered books and shipped them to people to send to their local libraries, or wherever or local schools as well. So we're just getting started. This book was just released for sale in September.
Okay.
And I'm, like I said, I'm speaking to you. I already visited an elementary school and spoke to students, had some great questions. So we definitely will have more to come. So we're just getting started.
Yeah, matter of fact, make sure you remind me because I'm old and I forget shit.
Yes.
But one of my guys is like a huge community activist in Detroit, and I kind of want to talk to him about it. Actually,
Thank you.
I know a couple people.
Yes.
So if
Thank you.
if we can do anything, we definitely will. Because like
Thank
I'm
you.
thinking, women's prisons, shelters
Yes.
would absolutely benefit from this.
Absolutely. And I think definitely with the foster homes, that was really top of my list because I was thinking more so, as children may be jumping from home to home, sometimes they may, just deal with certain things and not say anything because they're just grateful to be in someone else's home. They're just
Yeah,
grateful to,
yeah,
to have their own room, or they're just grateful to, feel special for that moment. So, they don't want to say anything. They don't want to jeopardize, the roof over their head. So again, I think before, if they're in a foster home and before they're placed, these books need to be, in their library so that they're reading these books and having this discussion and they know what's happening, before, they get to these homes. And then they're also confused as to why is this happening? Is it only me? Because again, I just thought, oh, it was just me. And and it's not. It's happening, more often, than we think.
and Samanthea, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, says she's proud of you too.
Oh, thank you, thank you, Sam.
And Shalana says congratulations.
Thank you, Shy. Thank you. Those are my girls.
Okay, yeah, and am I pronouncing their names right?
Yes. Yes. Yep. You're pronouncing it right.
Okay, yeah, Sam, can I just say Sam? Well, I'm just gonna say Sam.
Say
Um,
Sam.
yeah, I've never seen that name before.
So it looks. I believe she pronounces it Samantha. So sometimes,
Oh,
so you may see Samantha. I think she pronounces it Samantha. And Sam, she's also, I'm going to give her a shout out. She's a Black business owner. She owns her own child daycare. She's an amazing child care provider for a very long time. And
is she charging $6,000 a week though?
I don't know. I don't think so. She's been doing this for what, 10 years, 15, 20 years. So she can't be charging that much if she's still going. But but she's definitely is a hustler. She definitely has inspired and motivated me, to move on and try something different. So I'm proud of her. I'm proud of her. And also Shy, definitely hustlers and definitely motivating and inspiring to me as well.
She says she need to charge $6,000. Man, these kids are different. Oh my god! I mean, I swear, my granddaughters. Oh my god, especially the three youngest ones
Uh-huh.
are little dudes in disguise. They are with the business. Like, oh my god, they are. But they are.
It's
Oh,
not easy. It's not easy.
that's been the most beautiful part about this existence I've had so far. You know, having a phenomenal mother,
Yes.
rest her soul,
Yes.
having a woman to love me
Yes.
even when I don't deserve it,
Right.
and grandchildren. Man,
Absolutely.
grandchildren can do. I don't give a shit, man. You want to paint on the wall? Go ahead. I'm that grandfather. Like I don't care. Long as you're not gonna hurt yourself, I don't really care what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Have fun and go home.
Uh-huh. I have a grandnephew and he's amazing. So I understand the grandparents, grand anything. They're just amazing. And I just have a great time. He just smiles and that just lights up my day. But I'm definitely grateful that he could go back to his mom, so
Yeah. Oh
I'm
yeah.
grateful for that part.
Yeah. You ain't be here forever now. You got to go.
Exactly. He got to go. He got to go home.
I definitely. I'm not gonna take up too much more of your time. I want to say this was an honor.
Thank you. Definitely. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Awesome opportunity. I appreciate your time. You always have amazing questions. I've been watching you. since Henny put me on to you. So, so great job to you. And thank you for all that you do.
Yeah, don't get that nigga no more credit. This is we ain't saying this. Is there anything you want to say before we wrap it up?
Yes, again, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been supporting the book, supporting the importance of the message. Please continue to share the book with your local libraries, your local schools, the foster homes, and in other homes, because again, the purpose is to educate our children, so that these things are not happening to them, so that they don't feel uncomfortable about having this discussion. They're not feeling awkward about this discussion. And, we're looking forward to the next book. So hopefully with your help, it will continue to be successful, and, just get it out there. And thanks again for everything.
Appreciate you so much. And Sam, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the
Yes.
YouTube channel. You have a phenomenal day, week, month,
Same
year,
to you. Thank
life, the
you.
whole thing. Oh,
Thank
and
you.
the book is on Amazon too, Sam says.
It is. It is.
So,
And the only reason why I didn't mention Amazon or any other platform outside of that is because, of course, they give you less percentage of the profits.
mhm.
And usually with when you're purchasing from the publisher, you get a little bit more, not that much more, but you get more. And then, as I'm able to donate books or give books to others, free of charge, I'm able to do that because I'm getting a little bit more from the publishing company. So again, there's books that we're giving out to the libraries, to the schools, and other places. And so when we're purchasing from the Arthur House, which is my publishing company, that allows me to do that, because we get a little bit more profit, and then I could share with those who may not be able to afford the book.
Okay. All right. Well, it has been a treat.
Yes, thank
And,
you.
and
And
listening
hopefully
to
you have me again when I have another book. So,
you, your family now, whatever. Look,
okay,
I don't know what possibly I can do for you, but if it's something I can do, and I tell everybody that comes on the show, because I appreciate the honor of someone sharing part of their existence with me.
yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I just enjoy talking to really phenomenal people, and I have been able to talk to some amazing people over the years, and I don't take that lightly.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for taking the time to speak to us, and to be consistent with doing this, because it's not easy. So, kudos to you, and great job, and you keep it up. So thank you.
I'm trying. No, you're not opening your mouth too much, Sam. Like, hey, you know what? I appreciate a good circle. If your girl is on here, your girl got some shit going on. Just like she mentioned your business. That's what we are supposed to
Absolutely.
do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
And even when I arranged a book signing, I kind of put something together with just my close family and friends. And Samantha was there, immediately when I mentioned it to her. She was like, "No problem, I'm there." I was just, at one of her events, she had an appreciation event for the people that support her. So it's a two-way street. We have to support one another. Nothing will succeed unless we're thinking outside the box, and also supporting one another. So that's
absolutely,
what we do.
absolutely. On that note, I will bid you adieu. I don't even know if I
Yes,
said that shit right.
I know what you mean.
You have a great one. It's
Same
been a
to you.
joy.
Thank you so
Thank you so
much.
much.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Take care.
You too.
Yo, tough topic, tough topic. But if you've been watching the show over the years, you know that make a point to not just talk about goofy shit. I make it a point to talk about some real shit. Because what do you need a microphone if you're just gonna waste it? Anyway, this has been Jobs. This has been another episode of Intellectually Petty Radio. I'll be back in about an hour. We got P. Dot, rapper from Detroit, Michigan, my hometown. She is phenomenal. in her own right and a legend in her own right. We'll be back in about an hour. Y'all have a good one. Appreciate you.